Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Cartoons, and today I'm going to be running you through what's new with Fire Mage and Legion. Some of the things that are still existing in the game from a previous expansion, and also some new spells and new talents, and just kind of how the class will flow throughout the next expansion based on what the changes are in the current alpha build on December 10th, 2015. Now, this thing is always subject to change. It is in the alpha build. It's not even in beta, but I really do like how they've set up the class design for Fire Mage. I think that it's very intuitive and rewarding for skillful players, and I think that with a lot of practice, it can be a very strong spec with a lot of versatility and a lot of things to do on a normal basis, and consistently always being able to play the game and always being able to do damage based on how good you are at like rotating the cooldowns, using your abilities at the right time, and so on. So let's go ahead and jump into the abilities of what is still in the game and has kind of been the baseline for Fire Mages throughout multiple expansions. Now, as you can see, Dragon's Breath is still there, still does the same thing, disorients targets in a cone in front of you for 4 seconds. Same stuff, and it also deals a pretty decent amount of damage. Moving on from that, Fireball is there. It's just a base 2-second cast. It does some damage that's a little bit higher than Scorch, and non-castable while moving. So it is not, you cannot cast it while moving. Infernal Blast is still there. It's always guaranteeing a critical strike. These are used mainly to generate hot streak procs for instant pyroblasts, and there's really nothing different from there. Blink is obviously still there. That's always been in the game since vanilla, and it's there for all specs. Ice Block is still there. It's a talent though this time, and you can take some other choices, and I feel like Shimmer might be good in the future based on what I can see right now, but I think that Ice Block for now is the best thing, and no longer is there any Cold Snap, there's only Ice Block. And Ice Block also has 2 charges, which is pretty cool. Moving on from that, Living Bomb is now a useful talent. It does more damage because last expansion it was pretty much useless. However, in Mist of Pandaria, it was a really fun and intuitive ability to be able to keep the dot spread damage always up on targets. It just from what I've noticed in the alpha beta section is that Living Bomb actually does damage again, which is great because it really was a broken ability and it didn't do anything last expansion. I don't know why it wasn't fixed, but oh well, that's not really the point of this video. So Meteor, that is also in this expansion. It's just the same of what it's always been. You put it on the ground just like this, and then a big meteor falls from the sky and does a bunch of damage to targets, and also leaves this like, you know, cataclysmic effect below it that does a dot, like a damage over time ability as well. Spellsteal is still there, still does the same thing, still costs the same amount of mana. Scorch is still there, basically does the same thing, a low amount of damage, castable while moving, fast casting, and is probably going to be used in PvP to generate hot streak procs if you don't have any offensive cooldowns available, which I'll get to in just a second. Ring of Frost is still there and is probably the best talent available for the level 75 tree at this point because of Frost Drop being removed. And one thing that's interesting is that Ice Ward was replaced, so since you have Frost Nova as a Fire Mage now, which is pretty cool, and Ice Ward gives you 2 charges of the ability, which is an interesting change. Now moving on from that, I'm going to go ahead and explain what are the new changes for Fire Mage and the new spells that to get into, and something that, you know, will really define the class and what the class is meant to do. I think that a lot of these low cooldown abilities that are available to Fire Mages really generate a really cool playstyle as opposed to other expansions, and I think that constantly throwing out these Pyroblasts, which what the design is about now, really does help it. So let's go ahead and jump into what the new abilities are. So let's start with the level 15 talent. Now the level 15 talent is probably the most important talent and spec or in spell of the whole class. Now Pyromaniac is a talent passive that gives you a 50% chance whenever you use your Pyroblast with a hot streak proc, so an instant cast Pyroblast, and it's a 50% chance to instantly refresh that hot streak. So what this means is that every time you hot streak Pyroblast something, you have a 50% chance to reactivate that, and this is completely RNG based, so just by playing the game, I've noticed that sometimes I'll get, you know, 7, 8, 12 Pyroblasts in a row, and then sometimes I'll get 1 or 2. So it's really RNG based, and I think that it brings a lot of really cool plays based on how lucky you are while playing the class. And moving on from that, before I get into the next talent that I want to share with you, is that Infernal Blast has 2 stacks, so you can instantly generate an instant cast Pyroblast hot streak just based on the abilities you are granted at level 100 as a Fire Mage. So you don't have to have any talents to have those 2 charges. It's always going to be 2 charges. Now, what really synergizes very well with Inferno Blast is the ability called Flame On. And Flame On is an ability that grants you 2 more charges of Inferno Blast immediately. So the theory behind this is that you cast Inferno Blast twice, you get your Pyroblast procs, right? And then when you use that string of Pyroblasts with Pyromaniac, and then eventually you're not going to get that 50-50 chance and you're going to like run out of Pyroblast, you can use your 30-second cooldown Flame On ability and just generate 2 more charges of Inferno Blast immediately. And this gives you another strand of Pyroblast to cast until that RNG runs out again, right? And it's just a very consistent way, since it's a 30-second cooldown, to generate those Pyroblasts and do a ton of damage in that time. And on top of everything here, there's something really interesting that has been given to you by the artifact weapon. And this is one of the high level concept things that revolve around fire mages casting a ton of Pyroblasts. And there's 2 abilities that kind of go with this. Now, your artifact weapon periodically accumulates something called Flame Orbs, and you can see them up here in the top right buff section. Flame Orb is a buff that stacks up to 3 times that generates 1 charge of Phoenix's Flame each. Now, Phoenix's Flame is an ability that replaces Pyroblast and does the exact same thing of Pyroblast with a twist. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these 2 mobs in front of me here. And they're going to both charge me, they're going to both go behind me real quick, and then once they stack up, I'm going to Dragon's Breath and use Phoenix's Flames, and as you can see, it's like Pyroblasting 2 targets at once, and it's instant cast. It generates every 30 seconds and goes up to 3 charges, which is a really strong ability, because it's like 3 free Pyroblasts on multiple targets that doesn't use your Hot Streak procs. So again, like after that, I can just use my Inferno Blast and then cast more Pyroblasts into them really easily. And if that wasn't sweet enough, you get another ability that actually helps you get more Phoenix's Flames out at the same time. So there's this new ability called Phoenix Reborn, and this is within the artifact tree. And what Phoenix Reborn does is it allows you to refresh those Flame Orb stacks immediately, every minute too. So how it works is that for every ignited target up to 3 targets, you grant a Flame Orb whenever you use this ability. And it also deals a pretty substantial amount of damage to each ignited target. Now again, this is only up to 3 stacks. You can't get like 10 different procs, or you can't get like 10 different Flame Orbs just by using this ability. You only get up to 3. So what the ideal theme of this is that you use your Phoenix's Flames, you cast 3 instant cast Phoenix's Flames, and then you can use your Phoenix Reborn and you can cast, up to 3 more, which is really crazy and really does help get more consistent pressure out, since it's only on a 1-minute cooldown, which I think is pretty crazy. It does a lot of damage, and that on top of your Inferno Blast to Pyroblast strains, mixed with your Flame On 30-second cooldown Pyroblast strains, mixed with the Pyromaniac refreshing, it's really hard to run out of Pyroblast to use. And I think that that's a crazy point of Fire Mage and why Fire Mage can be so good if its current state continues in the way that it is. And I think it's important to note that Combustion was changed, and this is going to help you do even more damage if you didn't think that you were going to be able to do a lot of damage before. So what Combustion does now is it's similar to how Icy Vein works, but in its fiery form. Now, Combustion is no longer a dot. It's a buff that gives you a 100% chance to critically strike for 10 seconds, and it's on a 2-minute cooldown. But not only does it give you a 100% chance to crit, it also increases your mastery equal to your critical strike stat, which means that your mastery, your ignite dots are going to take harder. They're going to do more damage in that amount of time while you have Combustion active. And just by playing Fire Mage on the alpha, I've noticed Combustion is the most effective right before you use all of your Phoenix Flames and then refresh it, and then you keep your Pyroblast strain going. You want to cast Combustion and cause all of your critical strikes to be poured into each Pyroblast that you use. So using up to 6 Phoenix Flames that are all critically striked and on multiple targets, as well as like an endless amount of Pyroblast, can really do a ton of damage, and I think that that is the best way to use it. But it's never really known until the final game comes out itself. And those are pretty much all of the changes I have available for you today. Now, here's the thing. Fire looks really strong in this certain point of the game, and I would like to see it go live because I think that it could be a lot of fun, because I feel like it's very rewarding. Now, while I haven't played Fire a whole lot in the previous expansions except for like Mist of Pandaria, I may play it more in the future, and if you want me to play it more, be sure to leave a comment below. However, when Frost becomes available on the alpha, because currently it's disabled, I can't activate this spec. Once it becomes available, I'm going to be posting more Frost Mage videos so that I can get you some of the insight that you saw today, but for the Frost Mage version. And if you would like to be a part of that, if you would like to see that on my channel, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, or you can click the link down below that says subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that'll bring you to subscribing to the channel as well. Now what that's going to do is it's going to notify you whenever I release a new video, and you can also check out my Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, which are in the description below, and those will direct you to my other social pages that can help you be notified when I release new videos, and also just keep updated with what I'm doing. So I hope you all enjoyed today's episode on how Fire Mage is going to work in Legion. If you did, be sure to leave the video a thumbs up and help my channel grow. Until then, guys, I'll see you all next time. Have a good day. Cartoons out.